I took out the trash on a normal Tuesday evening when my world collapsed. Our 7-year marriage seemed perfect until I heard her voice through the garage door. My wife Amanda was talking to her sister about me, calling me mediocre with average everything. She wished she had chosen James instead. Her sister laughed, suggesting Amanda could upgrade after our mortgage was paid off. I quietly grabbed the trash bags and left without a word. Let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like and subscribe button if you want to find out what happened when my phone exploded with 16 missed calls from her 2 months later. I met Amanda at a party hosted by our mutual friend Tony 5 years ago. I was 35, working as a construction manager for a mid-sized development company in Portland. The job paid well enough, provided good benefits, and offered the stability I had always valued. I had never been the type to chase glamorous careers or seek the spotlight. Building things, solving problems, and earning an honest living gave me genuine satisfaction. Amanda stood out immediately at that party, not just because of her striking looks with those intelligent hazel eyes and perfectly styled dark hair, but because of the confident way she carried herself. She was 32, a marketing executive at Bryant and Pearson, one of the most prestigious firms in the city. When Tony introduced us, I was honestly surprised someone like her would give me the time of day. Our conversation flowed effortlessly that night. She seemed genuinely interested in my work, asking thoughtful questions about construction projects and my career path. I found her ambition refreshing, her stories about corporate marketing campaigns fascinating. We exchanged numbers, and I called her the very next day, breaking all those supposed dating rules about waiting. Our relationship progressed rapidly. Coffee dates turned into dinner dates. Weekend hikes became weekend getaways. Within 6 months, I was completely in love with her. After 8 months during a trip to the coast, I proposed on the beach at sunset. Looking back, I realize how cliché that sounds, but at the time it felt perfect. When she said yes, I truly believed I was the luckiest man alive. We married in a relatively modest ceremony 4 months later. Amanda had initially pushed for something more extravagant, but we compromised when I expressed concerns about starting our marriage in debt. She seemed to appreciate my practical mindset then. The wedding was still beautiful, intimate, with about 80 guests at a renovated historic building downtown. With our combined incomes, we qualified for a loan on a gorgeous craftsman-style house in a desirable neighborhood. The 30-year mortgage stretched our budget, but my steady income provided the security banks look for. Amanda's salary was higher, but less predictable with its commission structure. I remember feeling proud that my consistency contributed significantly to this milestone. I threw myself into making our house a home. Every weekend I tackled improvement projects, building custom shelving in the living room, renovating the outdated bathroom, and creating a beautiful garden in our backyard. Amanda would compliment my handiwork, though, sometimes with qualifiers like, "Not bad for a DIY job," or "It almost looks professional." Our daily routine fell into comfortable patterns. I handled most household maintenance, did the majority of cooking, and planned thoughtful date nights to keep the romance alive. Amanda worked long hours and often brought work stress home. I tried to be her sanctuary, the steady presence she could rely on when deadlines loomed or clients became difficult. Looking back, there were warning signs I willfully ignored. When we attended her company parties, she would introduce me with a quick, "This is Noah, my husband," before steering conversations away from my career. If colleagues asked what I did, she would sometimes answer for me, downplaying my role, saying things like, "He works in construction," rather than mentioning I managed multiple projects and teams. Her comments about our financial choices gradually shifted from appreciative to critical. What was once "Noah is so good with budgeting" became "Noah is so tight with money." My practical SUV, perfect for hauling building materials and camping gear, became embarrassingly ordinary compared to her coworkers' luxury vehicles. My interests and hobbies faced similar treatment. My woodworking, which initially impressed her, became messy and taking up too much space. My enjoyment of historical documentaries and science fiction novels was labeled predictable and basic. Still, I attributed these comments to temporary stress or bad days at work. In recent months, the comparisons to other men had grown more frequent. Amanda would casually mention how her friend Stephanie's husband had just made partner at his law firm, or how her colleague Mark had surprised his wife with a spontaneous trip to Paris, or how her college friend had just bought his wife a diamond bracelet just because. I redoubled my efforts to be a good husband. I scheduled more date nights, bought her small gifts, tried to engage more with her friends despite feeling increasingly uncomfortable around them. I believed we were just going through a rough patch, that the foundation we had built was strong enough to weather this phase. The night everything changed, I had been planning to surprise Amanda with tickets to see her favorite band on our upcoming anniversary. The tickets were hidden in my desk drawer, along with a handwritten card expressing how much she meant to me. That was before I walked into the garage and heard those words that would forever alter the course of our marriage. I married down Lisa. Let's be honest. Amanda's voice was crystal clear through the partially open door between our kitchen and the attached garage. I froze, trash bags in hand, as her conversation with her sister continued through the speakerphone. Noah is a mediocre man with average everything, average looks, average job, average ambition. I keep thinking about what my life would be like if I had gone with James instead. My stomach dropped. James. Her ex-boyfriend from before we met. The one who went on to become a successful orthopedic surgeon in Seattle. She had mentioned him occasionally, always in a supposedly neutral way that nonetheless highlighted his achievements. Her sister's laugh came through the speaker. Well, you can always upgrade after the mortgage is paid off. At least Noah is reliable enough to handle that part. God, you are terrible, Amanda replied, but she was laughing too. But seriously, sometimes I look at him watching those boring documentaries or getting excited about building a new shelf, and I think, is this really it? Is this my forever remember James's beach house that could have been your weekend? Get away, her sister teased. Stop it, Amanda protested weakly, though he did text me last month just to catch up. He's divorced now. Interesting timing, Lisa replied with audible suggestion in her voice. It's nothing, Amanda said unconvincingly. But I do wonder sometimes. Noah is just so steady, predictable. He has no desire to be exceptional at anything. Even in bed, he's just adequate. That last comment sent a physical pain through my chest. I stood motionless, the weight of the trash bags suddenly unbearable in my hands. 7 years of marriage reduced to adequate. 7 years of loving her, supporting her, building a life together. And this was how she truly saw me. At least he cooks, her sister offered. True. And he is nice. I just thought I would have more by now, you know. A nicer house, exciting vacations, maybe a summer home. Not just a husband who gets excited about installing new garage shelving. I quietly backed away, slipped out the side door, and walked to the curb with the trash. My mind was a hurricane of emotions. Hurt, betrayal, anger, humiliation, and beneath it all a terrible sense of clarity. This wasn't a one-time comment made in frustration. This was how she truly saw me, how she spoke about me when I wasn't there. When I returned to the house, Amanda was in the living room scrolling through her phone. She looked up and smiled warmly. Hey, babe. I was thinking we could try that new Italian place on Friday. I nodded mechanically, unable to process how she could shift from disparaging my entire existence to casually planning date night. I mumbled something about being tired and headed to our home office, closing the door behind me. I needed space to think, to breathe. That night in bed, I lay awake while Amanda slept peacefully beside me. How many nights had she fallen asleep thinking about James and the life she could have had? How many smiles had been forced? How many displays of affection had been mere performances? The following week was torturous. I went through the motions of our marriage, while my mind replayed her words on an endless loop. Mediocre man with average everything. I started noticing things I had previously dismissed. How she subtly repositioned herself when friends took group photos, ensuring I was at the edge where I could be easily cropped out. How she rarely posted about me on social media despite documenting much of her life online. How she would take business calls in another room, but social calls within my earshot, as if the former mattered and the latter did not. I started hitting the gym before work, pushing myself harder than I had in years. One morning, Amanda noticed and commented, "Trying to get in shape. Good for you." The condescension in her tone was unmistakable. At work, I spoke to my boss about advancement opportunities, about taking on more responsibility. He seemed surprised, but supportive. When I mentioned this potential career development to Amanda, her response was a dismissive. "That's nice, but it's still just construction, right?" It was becoming clear that no amount of self-improvement would change her fundamental assessment of me. In her eyes, I was inherently lacking, permanently relegated to the category of settling. 2 weeks after the garage incident, I made an appointment with a financial advisor claiming to Amanda it was routine retirement planning. In reality, I needed to understand our financial entanglement. The meeting revealed uncomfortable truths. Amanda had opened several credit cards I knew nothing about. Our joint savings had been steadily depleting despite both of us earning good salaries. Her student loans, which she had claimed were nearly paid off, still had a substantial balance. When I carefully inquired about some unusual transactions, the advisor pulled up details showing expensive dinners and hotel charges on evenings Amanda had claimed to be working late. My heart sank further. Was she already seeing James? Or someone else? That night, while Amanda showered, I did something I had never imagined doing in our marriage. I checked her phone. The text thread with James confirmed my fears. They had been in contact for months. Nothing explicitly sexual but flirtatious, filled with inside jokes and references to their past. Meetings for coffee that she had never mentioned. A thread of connection she had maintained while building a life with me. There was also a text to her sister from the day after the garage conversation. "I feel bad about what I said about Noah. He really is a good guy. Just not what I pictured for myself long term, you know?" That was the final clarity I needed. I wasn't a partner to her. I was a placeholder. I've never been one for dramatic confrontations or impulsive decisions. The construction business teaches you that proper planning prevents poor performance. So instead of exploding with hurt and anger, I began methodically planning my exit from a marriage that had become a charade. First, I secured all my important documents: birth certificate, social security card, passport, and tax records. I gathered the few truly sentimental possessions that I couldn't bear to lose photographs from before I met Amanda, my grandfather's watch, a small collection of books my father had given me. I stored these at my brother Eric's house under the guise of clearing out space for a home office renovation. Next, I discreetly contacted a divorce lawyer to understand my options. The consultation was eye-opening. Amanda's hidden spending and secret credit cards actually strengthened my position. The fact that I had contributed the down payment for our house from an inheritance also mattered legally. The lawyer advised me to gather evidence of financial infidelity while maintaining normal household contributions until I was ready to file. The emotional toll was immense, but I found support by reconnecting with friends I had gradually lost touch with during my marriage. Looking back, I realized how Amanda had subtly discouraged these friendships, describing my old friends as immature or going nowhere. My brother Eric became my rock, offering both practical help and the emotional support I desperately needed. I also started seeing a therapist, Dr. Marshall, who helped me process my feelings of inadequacy and betrayal. He helped me recognize that I had gradually surrendered my sense of self-worth to Amanda's assessment. My value as a human being had nothing to do with her narrow definition of success or status. "You've built your identity around being the reliable one," the steady provider Dr. Marshall observed in one session. "That's not a character flaw, Noah. That's a strength. The problem isn't that you're average. The problem is that you're with someone who cannot appreciate substance over flash." While working through my emotional response, I also took practical steps toward independence. I opened separate bank accounts and began redirecting my paychecks there, leaving only enough in our joint account to cover my fair share of household expenses. I enrolled in a project management certification course that would enhance my credentials and earning potential. I quietly researched affordable apartments near my workplace. By the 6-week mark after the garage incident, my plan was in place. Amanda would be attending a weekend marketing conference in Chicago. I had arranged to move my essential belongings to a 1-bedroom apartment. I had signed a lease for the previous week. I had notified my lawyer, who had papers ready to be served the following week. The night before Amanda's trip, I wrote her a letter explaining why I was leaving Amanda. By the time you read this, I will have moved out. 6 weeks ago, I overheard your conversation with Lisa in the garage. I heard you call me mediocre, average, and adequate. I heard you wish you had chosen James instead. I want you to know that I loved you completely. I built my life around making you happy and secure. I thought we were partners building something meaningful together. Now I understand that you saw me as settling as a reliable placeholder until something better came along. I deserve more than that. Everyone does. I've arranged for divorce papers to be delivered next week. I'm not interested in taking anything that isn't rightfully mine. I just want to move forward with dignity and find someone who values what I offer. I hope you find what you're looking for. Noah. The next morning, I drove Amanda to the airport as if everything was normal. She kissed me goodbye, reminded me to water her plants, and walked through the security checkpoint without looking back. 6 hours later, I had moved my clothing, personal items, and a few pieces of furniture into my new apartment. On the kitchen table of our house, I left my wedding ring, the concert tickets I had purchased for our anniversary, and the letter. That first week on my own was a strange mixture of grief and liberation. I mourned the death of what I had believed our marriage to be while simultaneously feeling like I could finally breathe freely. My small apartment became a sanctuary where I didn't have to constantly monitor someone else's approval. Amanda's reaction came in predictable stages. First, there were angry voicemails demanding I return home immediately to explain myself. Then came the accusations that I was having an affair, that I had planned this betrayal for months, that I was having a midlife crisis. When those got no response, she shifted to tearful messages about how we could work through this, how she had just been venting and didn't mean what she said. I maintained complete silence. My lawyer advised against any communication that wasn't through official channels. Dr. Marshall supported this boundary as necessary for my healing. My brother Eric and my reconnected friends kept me busy with dinners, hiking trips, and genuine conversation that made me realize how lonely I had been, even while married. At work, my boss was impressed with my renewed focus and energy. The certification course was challenging but rewarding. 3 weeks after moving out, I was offered a senior project manager position with a significant salary increase. The irony wasn't lost on me. Just as I stopped trying to impress Amanda, my career naturally advanced. The 16th missed call from Amanda came exactly 2 months after I had left, precisely when I received the news of my promotion. The timing felt symbolic, somehow a demarcation between my old life and new possibilities opening before me. I stared at my phone as the 17th call from Amanda came through. 2 months of silence, of rebuilding, of rediscovering myself. Part of me wanted to maintain that protective barrier, but another part needed closure. After 7 years, I owed myself that much. "Hello, Amanda." I answered, my voice steadier than I expected. "Noah." She sounded surprised, as if she hadn't actually expected me to pick up. "Thank you for answering. I have been trying to reach you." "I know." 16 missed calls. "What do you need?" "I need to see you," she said, her voice cracking. "I made a terrible mistake. Those things I said, I didn't mean them. I was just frustrated and venting to Lisa. You know how she brings out the worst in me." "You meant them, Amanda," I said calmly. "People don't say things like that unless they believe them on some level." No, I was just being stupid," she insisted. "James reached out to me and it stirred up old feelings, but when I actually met him for coffee, I realized he's not half the man you are. He's arrogant and self-centered. I told him I was committed to my marriage." I absorbed this confirmation that she had indeed been meeting James behind my back, but surprisingly, the revelation didn't hurt anymore. It just confirmed I had made the right decision. "I'm glad you have clarity about James," I said. "But this isn't about him. It's about us and how you fundamentally see me." "I see you perfectly now," she said desperately. "Did you know Lisa's husband left her? He was cheating with his 22-year-old assistant." She was projecting her bitterness onto our conversation. "Please, Noah, come home. We can go to counseling. I miss you so much." For a moment, I felt a flicker of what might have been sympathy. Amanda sounded genuinely distressed. But then I remembered all the weeks I had spent reconstructing my sense of self-worth after she had systematically dismantled it. "I'm sorry about Lisa's situation," I said, but I'm not coming home. I've accepted a senior position at work. I'm doing really well, Amanda, better than I have in years. That's wonderful, she exclaimed with forced enthusiasm. See, I always knew you had potential. We should celebrate your promotion. Her immediate attempt to take credit for my success told me everything about how little she had changed. The divorce papers are being finalized next week, I said firmly. I think it's best if we communicate through our lawyers from now on. Noah, please, her voice cracked. Don't throw away 7 years over one stupid conversation. It wasn't just one conversation, I said. It was a window into how you truly see me. I deserve someone who appreciates me for exactly who I am, not someone waiting for me to transform into someone else. After we hung up, I felt an enormous weight lift from my shoulders. The following week, we met with our respective lawyers to finalize the division of assets. Amanda had brought a binder full of calculations attempting to claim more than her share, arguing that her career opportunities had been limited by supporting mine, a claim so obviously untrue that even her lawyer looked uncomfortable. In the end, I kept my retirement accounts and savings. She kept the house with its underwater mortgage now worth less than we owed due to a correction in the housing market. She would have to refinance to remove my name from the loan, which meant taking on an even higher payment. Part of me felt bad about that, but then I remembered her words about upgrading after the mortgage is paid off and found my compassion had limits. As we left the lawyer's office, Amanda made one last attempt. I still love you, she said, tears streaming down her face. I realize now what I had. Please give me another chance. I looked at her. This woman I had once believed was the center of my universe and felt nothing but a gentle sadness. I wish you well, Amanda. I really do. But we both deserve a fresh start. 6 months after our divorce was finalized, I met Rachel at a community fundraiser. She was a pediatric nurse with a quick laugh and kind eyes that actually crinkled when she smiled. Our relationship developed slowly, built on genuine conversations and mutual respect. When I told her about my construction work, she asked thoughtful questions and later remembered the details. She found my reliability comforting rather than boring, my practical nature grounding rather than limiting. 1 year after the garage conversation that changed everything, I ran into Amanda at a local coffee shop. She had lost weight, but not in a healthy way. Her expensive clothes hung loosely on her frame, and her eyes had a haunted quality. You look good, Noah, she said, eyeing my new confidence. I heard you're seeing someone. I am, I confirmed. Rachel is wonderful. I'm happy for you, she said, not sounding happy at all. I miss you. The house feels so empty. You should sell it, I suggested gently. Start fresh somewhere. She nodded, tears forming. I messed up the best thing in my life because I couldn't see its value. I was chasing some fantasy that doesn't exist. As I watched her walk away, I felt no satisfaction in her regret, only gratitude for the painful awakening that had led me to a more authentic life. The truth is, I had to lose someone who didn't value me to make space for someone who does. I had to have my ordinary steady qualities dismissed to recognize they were actually strengths, not shortcomings. My worth was never tied to Amanda's assessment. It wasn't about becoming exceptional by someone else's standards, but about being true to myself and finding people who appreciated that truth. Have you ever had to rebuild after someone made you feel less than? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help someone else find the courage to choose self-respect over painful acceptance. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to hear more real-life stories, and share with anyone who might be struggling to recognize their own value. Thank you for listening to my journey from heartbreak to healing. Remember, sometimes the path to happiness requires walking away from someone who cannot see your worth.